You know, some stories, they're more than just stories, right? They're kind of like maps. They give you a blueprint for your own journey, especially when you're chasing something huge, like, say, prepping for a major government exam. Today, we're going to unpack one of the most powerful maps ever written, Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, and see how it's basically the perfect guide for anyone on that kind of tough quest.
So, this is the book's big, beautiful promise. It's this idea that once you really, truly commit to your path, what the book calls your personal legend, the universe itself starts moving things around to help you out. And man, what a motivating thought, right? Especially on those days when the books are piling up and that exam feels miles away. Ah, and there's the catch. Because the journey the universe conspires to create for you, it's not always a walk in the park. In fact, a lot of the time, it kicks off with a massive test. And this is where the real story of The Alchemist, and maybe your own story, really begins. So let me introduce you to our hero. He's a young shepherd from Andalusia named Santiago. His life is pretty simple, it's comfortable, he's got his flock, but he keeps having this dream over and over again, a dream about a huge treasure buried thousands of miles away at the Egyptian pyramids.
Now this dream, this is his call to adventure. And here's where it starts to click for us. For anyone gearing up for a huge exam, your call to adventure was that moment you decided, yep, I'm doing this. It's when that daydream of a different life turns into a real solid goal you're going to chase.
So Santiago bumps into this mysterious old king, a guy named Melchizedek, who gives his dream a name. He calls it a personal legend. And you've got to pay attention to the definition here. It's not just some goal. The king says it's your only real obligation. He basically says that your main purpose in life is to follow that dream. Everything else, it's just noise.
Okay, so Santiago's in. He accepts his personal legend. But answering the call is never that easy. This next part of the journey is where your commitment really gets tested. It's where you have to prove just how bad you want it.
I mean, think about this sacrifice. Santiago sells literally everything he has, his job, his security, his entire identity as a shepherd, all to chase a dream. For someone prepping for an exam, that's like quitting your job, saying goodbye to your social life for a while, and pouring years into studying. It's that moment you know there's no going back.
And then, this happens. Right away. He gets to Tangier, trusts the first friendly face he sees, and gets all his money stolen. Gone. In one day, he goes from having a plan to having absolutely nothing. He's in a new country, doesn't even speak the language. That whole universe conspiring to help you thing doesn't feel so great right about now, does it? And this moment right here is the first huge test. He has a choice. He can curl up in a ball in the middle of the market, feel sorry for himself, and become a victim. Or he can see himself as an adventurer who just hit a really, really big speed bump. That single choice defines everything that happens next. It's the same choice you face after a terrible practice test. Are you a victim of the hard syllabus, or are you an adventurer on a quest? So, Santiago is down, but he's not out. He gets a job cleaning glasses for a crystal merchant. At first, his only goal is to make enough money to buy a ticket home. But he ends up staying there for a whole year. And this period, which feels like a massive detour, turns out to be the most important part of his education. Kind of like those long, grueling months of prep are for you. And here, he learns a huge lesson by watching the crystal merchant. See, the merchant also has a dream. He wants to go to Mecca, but he's terrified that if he actually does it, he'll have nothing left to live for. He loves the idea of the dream more than the reality of the journey. And Santiago realizes how dangerous that is. The trap of just dreaming about success instead of actually getting your hands dirty and chasing it.
All through his journey, people keep telling Santiago to follow the omens. The book basically says omens are the language the universe uses to talk to you, little signs and nudges to let you know you're on the right track and to point you in the right direction.
So what's an omen for you, sitting there with your study guides? Well, it's not a magical butterfly. It's that moment you finally understand a topic that's been bugging you for weeks. It's when you score just a few points higher on a practice test. It's finding an amazing teacher or a book that just clicks. These are the universe's little nudges saying, hey, keep going, you're getting somewhere. You just have to learn how to spot. So after a full year of hard work, Santiago has completely turned the crystal shop around. He's earned way more than enough money to go home and buy an even bigger flock of sheep. He could go back a winner. But something's changed inside him.
And here it is, the big takeaway. He chooses to keep going on his journey instead of taking the safe, easy win. He realizes that the person he's become, more resilient, more observant, more patient, that's a treasure all on its own. The discipline, the knowledge, the mental toughness you build while you're preparing, that stuff is yours forever, no matter what happens on exam day.
Before Santiago heads out again, that old king, Melchizedek, gives him one last piece of wisdom. And he wraps it up in this simple little story that perfectly captures the challenge of chasing a long-term goal.
The story is about a boy who's sent to the wisest man in the world to learn the secret to happiness. The wise man hands him a spoon with 2 drops of oil in it. He says, "Go explore my incredible palace for 2 hours, but whatever you do, don't spill the oil."
The first time, the boy is so focused on not spilling the oil that he sees nothing of the beautiful palace. The second time, he's so busy looking at all the wonders that he spills the oil. The wise man tells him the secret is to do both. Those 2 drops of oil, that's your goal, your exam, your personal legend. But the palace, that's the journey. It's the learning, the growth. It's the life that's happening right now. You have to balance both.
And that's really the question the Alchemist leaves us with. In your intense focus to get that rank, to pass that test, how do you also pay attention to the person you're becoming along the way? How do you find some joy in the process itself, appreciating the marvels of your own growth while still keeping your eye on the prize? Because finding that balance, well, that's the real secret. Not just to finding your treasure, but to living a legendary life.